We are live, YouTube. Are you rolling, Kristen?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Because now's the time to knock that stuff out.
All right, let me get this going, man. So talk like I'm just gonna go like let's just dive in and have a fun conversation about everything, all things like prospecting, filling top of funnel mindset. But the first thing I want to do is just start it off by you sharing your story, man, from an SDR to a senior account executive. That's exactly what these folks want to do. So I think sharing your story, what you've learned, the foundation.
Yeah, we take it however you want.
Take it. Yeah, that's how. Let's just do that.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Right, dude. Matter of fact, you're killing it on YouTube right now.
Appreciate
you are
it.
killing it, dude. I forgot. I need to remember who mentioned to you about me. Someone told me. I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna reach out to that guy. And I can't remember. I was trying to think about it yesterday.
It's a small space. There's not many people talking about like tech sales, so I think it's a unique niche to get into, and it's growing.
It is for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Let's get started in 3. What is going on, guys? I'm your host, David, and today is a very special interview. We've got Mr. Trent Dressel here. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing really well. Excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Guys, this is a little bit different because it's actually in person. Trent came down from Dallas, for the Austin Marathon, which I didn't even know what was going on. I'm super stoked about it and was excited to join, dude.
Yeah, it was a fun time getting down here. We had a nice ticket interaction with a police officer on the way down, so we started off on a positive note, but we're definitely getting acclimated to the city, and Austin's incredible.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you got over that hump, and at least you're having a fun time, and hopefully you don't get too beat up as I'm going to get at the marathon tomorrow.
I'll tell you, I'm going for a speeding ticket on the marathon, so that's my
goal. Cool stuff, man. Well, Trent, would love for you to share a little bit more about your journey, man. You're a badass, and you're bringing tons of value on all different platforms like YouTube and LinkedIn and really all things sales. What caught my eye, and when we originally kind of met, was seeing your journey going from an SDR to a senior account executive, and frankly, pretty quickly. Would love for you to kind of share more about your story and your journey and how you did that with the listeners.
Yeah, so in college, I had no idea what tech sales was. One of my friends that I respected said, hey, I want to get into enterprise software sales. And it just rang in my head, and I said, that sounds really cool. So fortunately, I began interviewing and really lucked my way into working for a fast-growing technology company. Moved to Dallas from Ohio right out of college, started out as an SDR, bottom of the totem pole. And on-target earning pay really wasn't great to start, and I think that's a misconception. Everyone thinks, oh, big money. There's incredible upside in tech sales, but when you start off, you're going to start off bottom of the totem pole, sales development rep, and you really got to prove yourself. You got to learn how to prospect, cold call, cold email, and generate pipelines. So that's what I did for 2 years. I put my head down and slowly but surely promoted up the ranks, and now find myself 3 years, 9 months later as a senior account executive, 4x my income, and it's opened up so many opportunities, and I think just grown a lot of confidence by putting yourself in a situation where you have to put yourself out there every day to get rejected. And I couldn't be more grateful. And looking back on it, I feel super fortunate to have landed in this career path. And I don't see myself ever getting out of tech, to be honest.
Yeah, man. One of the things I heard you mention is being the bottom of the totem pole, and it is probably, or it could be, one of the most hard, very difficult or challenging jobs, and needing to be very gritty. It's interesting, right? I'm curious how you'd share how being successful as a BDR has contributed to you 4xing your income and being a senior account executive.
Yeah, when you start out as an SDR, so I had no idea what I was actually doing. My title was Sales Development Representative. I didn't know what that meant. I never had an internship. I never had experience. I had never made a cold call. I had no connections. So I show up day one and they say, look, we're going to give you thousands of companies and you need to set meetings with the correct buyer persona in those companies. And I said, okay, great. What do I say on the phone? And you're given a script, you're nervous, you're reaching out, and you figure out how do you find people, how do you contact them, and then how do you say more with saying less words. That's what I really struggled with in the beginning. Everyone said, look, you sound like a used car salesman, you talk too fast, you're reading off a script. And that's when I really learned the importance of how do you communicate effectively. If you have a 5 to 10 second window, how do you immediately build trust and captivate someone's attention when they don't know who you are? That's the challenge. Think about when your friend's calling you, you answer because you know who they are. But think about when a random number calls you, you immediately have a distasteful just sense of who is this. And that's the challenge you have to overcome with every day in the role as a sales development representative. So you do that long enough and you start to build the confidence that you can put yourself into any situation and just find a way to communicate your message, to build value. And I think that translates in the job, but also outside the job as well. When you're communicating to try and meet girls, meet guys, when you're trying to get people to do what you want to do, hey, let's go to this movie instead of that movie. So the skill set has helped. The skill set's incredibly marketable as well, because you're always going to have a job if you can generate revenue for a company. That's what everyone wants to do is grow the top line. And that's the purpose of sales. So transcend it, and you'll always have a job if you can learn that skill set.
Sticking on communicating effectively. I know a lot of people they want to cold call and communicate effectively, but what would you tell the person that gets ready to get ready? Like, they're spending a lot of time preparing, which makes sense. Like, you want to give, when you give that person a call, you want to know why you're calling them, a compelling reason, right? You want to make it relevant. But I think there's a fine balance between being like over prepared and actually just taking massive action and making the calls.
I think that this is where a lot of people are confused when it comes to cold calling, and really most areas of life is they grossly underestimate the level of action needed to achieve the desired outcome. So if your goal is to set up 2 meetings per day, so you say, okay, how many calls do I need to make? So you sit down and say, let me start making calls. And then when you figure out, okay, this is who I'm going to call, a lot of people overthink before they want to call. They look at their Salesforce CRM, they look at the company website, they look at the prospect's LinkedIn, and they say, I need to have all the answers to the test before I actually take the test. But it's actually backwards. You need to go for it. And the analogy I like to use is, if you want to get stronger, do you think you're better off reading a book on how to do push-ups or actually going and doing push-ups? So the fastest way to get better with cold calling, or really anything, is just by starting. And that's what really helped me in the beginning. The girl who sat next to me in my chair, she's like, Trent, you're taking way too long to press calls. Press call and figure out what to say afterwards. So you start doing that, and then I said, I'm not better than anyone, but I can control how many calls I make, and I'll make 80 to 100 a day. And then you do that for months on end, and then you make 45,000 total cold calls, which is verified under my belt.
Wow. And
you just start to figure out what to say and how to do it. And I think it's just through the process and repetition, you figure out how to do it. And the nuances like tone, pitch, inflection, pauses, it all really matters when it comes to cold calling and communication.
What is your favorite opener? I mean, I'm happy to share mine, but I'm curious, right? To geek out a little bit. Like, what do you typically do?
So there's a lot of back and forth on this from anyone who talks about sales. Everyone has a viewpoint on how do you nail the first 30 seconds of a cold call. So my thinking on this is going back to our point earlier. When you're calling someone, they don't know who you are. Psychologically, the first thing you need to answer is who are you and why are you calling? That thing gives you the at least enough connection or goodwill to then go through a next 30 to a minute pitch. So I always start off the cold call and I say, hey, David, this is Trent from XYZ company. How are you? And you say good. A lot of people don't like the how are you because they think that it's not like we don't actually really care how they are. But I think if you make the calls with the intention of, hey, I'm there to add value to them, I do care how they are, and what the how are you tells me is immediately their mood, their vibe. Because if they say, I'm doing well, how are you? If they ask me how I am, I know I'm in. But if they say, I'm doing well, how can I help? That's when I know, okay, I need to get right into it. So then I